All right, we'll open the meeting, the March 6th meeting of the Southern Worcester County Regional Vocational School District Committee, and this meeting is being filmed for future publication on the school website. And we'll do the rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. We're covered? Okay. All right. And we can also waive the fire department regs, because I think we got that part covered too. So the first item of business is approval of minutes from our meeting of February 6, 2023.
So moved.
Motion to, is there a second? Okay, motion and a second to accept the minutes as presented. Any discussion or changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Approval of the warrants. The warrants are hopefully circulating around, but in addition, could there also be a motion to approve and sign the warrants?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second to approve the warrants. Is there any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Correspondence. No correspondence this evening. Thanks, Amber. And Student Advisory Committee. Arminda, welcome.
Oh.
Did we catch you off guard?
Okay. I did another survey last month for February. I didn't do one for January, but I'm back. I only got 35 responses for this one.
Just a touch.
Oh,
Yeah, a little louder.
am I a little quiet?
A little bit.
Oh, sorry. How's this? Better?
Perfect. Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, anyway, I did another survey for February. I got about 35 responses for it. The response numbers are going down a little bit, but I think that's just because students kind of got it out of their system in the beginning, and now it's like those who have something to say find the survey and then say it then. So anyway. I kept it pretty simple. I just asked a couple of questions, just positive feedback and negative feedback. So for positive, we got 21 students selected shop, 12 selected academics, 12 selected scheduling in classes, 12 selected sports, and this is a multiple choice question, so they can pick multiple options if there are many categories. So far, freshmen seem to like their shops a lot. They seem to appreciate the good opportunities in shop and look forward to co-op and things like that. There's also the new bus tracking thing. Some students said they like that, and many other students said they noticed changes with the Wi-Fi, so that was good. Now, on to things we can improve on. 13 students selected communication, 10 for academics, 10 for lunch and food. In terms of communication, one of our concerns was the surprise midterms, because a lot of students, including myself, weren't properly informed of midterms. Like, there was a little confusion around it up until the very week that the test was happening, which I think was the next week, like after following break. So a lot of students were just not sure about midterms, and then they were surprised by it. Also, the lunch menu. I had a student answer in the survey that they wanted to know, like, ahead of time whether or not they were going to like the lunch. So they wanted to know what the lunch was, because if they don't like it, they're not going to eat it. So they'd rather bring something in and not go hungry. So we could maybe put that in the daily announcements that we send in the email, like lunch menus for the week, and just let students know ahead of time. Also about lunch, some students want more gluten-free options, and just to be more, just to have more like dietary need options. And also, I had a comment talk about equity in the school. So sorry, how do I? Some students report like seeing and hearing racist things being said among students or to each other, from everyone. I meant from select students, and some of these things are just not being reported by teachers who are there to witness it or students who are involved. So there's a bit of a safety issue there, a little bit of a tense atmosphere, as they put it. And the last thing that I received feedback on was how senior superlatives were done this year. And well, the way that they did it was whoever was in charge, they brought around like sheets of paper for each category, and then at lunchtime for a senior lunch. And many of these categories didn't reach all of the students, so we couldn't nominate students for categories that we wanted to. So it was, I guess, like we didn't have a chance to select students who we thought deserved those superlatives. And yeah, that's about it. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Amanda. Is there any, I got a couple of questions, but we can open it up to the
I had
floor.
a question.
So we'll go to John and then
Oh,
we'll to
Mrs.
Helen.
Lindsay, please.
Okay.
I just wondered, Arminda, is this problem of people making racist remarks, is it serious? Is it a lot? I mean, it's all serious, but is there a lot of it as opposed to a little bit of it? Or?
They said it was like a lot of like smaller comments that are being said to each other or about each other, like, and not just like racist remarks, but also like homophobic remarks that are said in class, and some students who are present might be a part of that community, but no one's speaking up.
Do you feel that there's anyone who's being bullied by this with more than one remark?
There has been more than one.
Because that should be reported.
Yeah, it should be.
Well, thank you for working on this and bringing it to the surface.
Joe?
My question is very much in line with Mrs. Lenty's. When, let's say a racist remark is made, and let's keep it simple, we don't have any Martians going here. So let's say someone, as an example, is making fun of the Martian in the room. What happens? Does it tend to be like a one-liner? It just goes dead air? Do students ever take a step to like criticize the act of racism? Is it, do you think people are sincerely being heard, or are people learning how not to be? I mean, that's how I learned not to be racist at all, is I didn't want to be like the racists. I mean, that's the impression, that's what, not that I had that, myself. How does it work out? I would think there'd be support from the student body to stop it.
Well, me personally, this year I haven't seen a lot of it because I see all the same students in my classes. But last year I definitely had like experienced like what a classroom is like when something like that is said. But there's not a lot of backlash because I guess people are scared to speak up.
If someone was to report it to the school administration, do you think they'd be looked at as kind of like being a rat, or do you think it would be appreciated? Like, is there a way that the school might be able to discourage it without being heavy-handed?
I'm not too sure.
Okay, well, I'm just asking, think about it. There's no such thing as a problem that can't be resolved. And I think we all want the students here to feel comfortable. And also, when it does happen, that can sometimes, those sour lemons can be turned to lemonade, and people can learn, that being a bully isn't nice. It can affect some people very seriously for the rest of their life. And I've heard good things about this school, and if that's a problem, we ought to, do our best to discourage it, whether we're teachers or students or administration or members of the board.
It's definitely a tough issue to resolve because you can't change a lot of people. But I do hear a lot of students say that they do feel safe here, which is reassuring. But there's also some people who don't, and that's just as much of an issue.
I'm going to give the superintendent an opportunity to comment too on this important topic.
So it is a very, thank you through the chair, a very important topic, and we have addressed it with our staff and faculty, how to recognize it and what to do. We've had a few speakers on, Jeff Parati, for students, LGBTQ, and we've had Khalees Warnham talk about implicit bias with our teachers, two wonderful speakers. So we've started with our teachers, and that's where, and I talked to Arminda earlier, one student is too many to report that they've heard these. So let me first clarify, if it is reported, administration is on it right away, and it's, taken at the most serious level and dealt with if it is found to be true through our disciplinary actions on that. Our surveys do indicate that the majority of students feel safe and accepted in the school. We hope to keep improving that. The SOA money, as you've seen, allows us to address that and provide the supports and the guidance on that. And more importantly, next year is student-facing speakers and professional development for them on implicit bias, on bullying, on racism, and all of that. So how do we identify it? Statewide, unfortunately, outside of schools, anti-Semitism is at an all-time high. LGBTQ is, at an all-time high. In sports, unfortunately, it's at an all-time high in schools, and the district attorney came out with addressing hate. And it was a statewide symposium at the Garden, and from that, they're doing regional trainings that are mandated for the principal, the superintendent, and the athletic director to attend. And their trainings on hate, in the sports. So the comments that are made from the peanut gallery that are heard, we haven't gone unscathed, unfortunately, in that, and we've addressed it, and we will continue to address it, but there's always room for improvement, and as I said, if one student doesn't feel accepted, we haven't done our job in its entirety. So there will be an awareness of how to report that. I said it so eloquent, it's very difficult. It's difficult at the adult level, it's difficult at the student level. Some of it, I would like to think isn't malicious, it's just unknown, but it still hurts. So let's change those practices. As you said, if I'm saying something offensive, I just need to know it so that I can change my ways and move on from it. But our minority population is such a small minority. I do believe there is a factor of who do I report it to, who's going to care. So we're trying to change that and give a voice to those students that they absolutely do matter. And if you bring it to our attention, we will address it in the best way, in the quickest way possible, so that everybody feels accepted. So there's work to be done. I personally would like it to happen faster, but we have to have days that are available to address our students in two different, because our gymnasium and our space doesn't allow for all the students at once, so we have to do it on 2 separate days and find those days that we can fit it in. But they are being scheduled in, and contracts are written for that student-facing development on those important topics.
If I could, the one thing that, well, more than one thing stood out from Arminda's feedback, but one of the things that concerned me the most, and I'm hoping we can do something to improve on it, if there's any case where something like that is taking place and the teacher is present and doesn't report it, I see that as a huge, huge problem that needs to be rectified.
So absolutely, I don't know if it hasn't been reported. Our teachers have reported situations, or students have reported situations, and we have addressed it. Yeah, so we can look into that.
Any other questions? I've got one more. I mean, see the conversation that you spur because of your surveys? It's great.
Yes.
The midterm confusion. I guess that's another concern. I don't know. When I was in school, midterms were always a very well-known thing that were going to happen, and what class, and what it was gonna entail, so I'm a little concerned that there was a lack in communication on midterms occurring. So do you know anything about that that you can speak to?
No, I know communications went out on midterms, and I can look at specifically when they went out and what those were to review the policy or the practice going forward, so that there's a known time on it. But I don't have specifics, whether it went out, and it's just, again, sometimes I think the announcements in the morning sound like the Charlie Brown ballot, and nobody's listening, it's just more of a wah, wah, wah. That's why we emailed it out, we can look at the emails and the letters that go out from our, you're leaning over to you.
Yeah, well, I just let you know that it's also been on the calendar since last year at this time when the school committee voted on the calendar. Mid-year exam was dated between January 9th to January 20th. There was also an email that was forwarded to the parents that stated that when the students come back, there'll be a day of review for at least one of them, and it was given about the information about the exams. Just so you know, it was minimum. They had a letter released a month earlier, but it was been on the calendar, and matter of fact, when you come up to it, you'll be voting on next year's calendar, and on next year's calendar, make sure you write one first.
Yeah, so it almost sounds like we
Mid-year
might have.
exams are scheduled for the 9th, who said that? On the 9th to the 19th next year.
So I wonder if we have a gap at the classroom level, I don't know.
Yeah, just a reminder, and that's what we can look at.
Aminda, thank you very much. Keep up the good work, it's good that you bring this stuff, so we can have a conversation about it, thank you.
One other thing, when you mentioned about the announcements, we also emailed the end of the announcements, the students' files also, they have what's on the daily announcements now. So all the announcements are going out now since November, December, they're going to all the students every day, every email.
Okay. Do they include the lunch menu?
Well, I guess we can probably get that up.
I was gonna- yeah, I was
Right now,
gonna
the
touch
lunch
that.
menus are also posted by our cafeteria manager. They're posted outside the cafeteria a month in advance.
Okay.
They have the whole thing posted.
So maybe it's just a case we gotta inform the students too where they can look, if they have a question on what's coming up, so they can, you know, just make sure they know where they can find it. Okay. Moving on to old business, there's no old business on the agenda this evening. Citizens' participation, I'm not seeing anyone in the audience, so we can move on to new business. First item under new business is the adoption of the FY24 school budget. There is a presentation, but this evening I think we've heard it 2 times. So if everyone's okay with waiving presenting that a 3rd time, then we can do that. But if someone wants to see it again, we can certainly do that too. Are we okay with waiving it? I think a verbal consent
Absolutely.
would be okay on that, all right. So with that, under the adoption of the FY24 school budget, now that we've heard the details and we've had the public hearing, we would need a motion to adopt it as presented.
So moved?
Seconded.
I'm just gonna, if I could pass this to someone, because we've gotta read the specific language with the amount of the budget that we're adopting. So if I hand this over to Helen, maybe.
A motion was made by,
No, it just say, I move, and read the rest of it.
I move to adopt the motion that was made for the FY24 budget in the amount of $28,340,567, including school choice, with an operating budget for assessments of $28,077,301 as submitted, pending the final action of the legislature, with the school committee reconvening at a later date, if needed, to amend the FY24 budget and assessments to reflect the final action of the legislature.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and this will be a 2/3 roll call vote. But before we move to a vote, are there any further questions or clarifications needed on the budget? Hearing none, we'll go through roll call. Mr. Beeland? Al? Yeah. Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Erickson,
Yes.
Ms. Gulsher,
Yes.
Mr. Gillette,
Yes.
Mr. Grenier is absent, Mr. Lamountain,
Yes.
Ms. Lenti,
Yes.
Mr. Montville,
Yes.
Ms. Pantos,
Yes.
Mr. Pulaski,
Yes.
Mr. Reich,
Yeah.
Mr. Shore, Peter Shore,
Yes.
Mr. Tim Shore,
Yes.
Mr. Scobie,
Yes.
Mr. Taveri,
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay,
Yes.
he is absent, Mr. Sikowski is absent. Okay, motion carries. All right, next item under new business is the approval of the 2023-2024 student handbook changes.
Through the chair, the superintendent, director, the dean of students, and the school council recommend the school committee vote to approve the proposed student handbook changes for the 23-24 school year as they were presented.
So moved. Second.
Okay, so motion accepted, second to accept the student handbook changes. Any questions or explanation required? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item, approval of the 2023-2024 school calendar.
Through the school chair, the superintendent, director, the principal, and the school council recommend the school committee vote to approve the 23-24 school calendar as submitted.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and second to approve the 2023-24 school calendar. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item, 4D, surplus equipment.
Through the chair, the superintendent, director, the vocational director, and the school business manager recommend the school committee vote to place one Uniram Cascade Solvents Gun Washer model number UG400, one Uniram Water-Based Gun Washer model number UM120W, and 8 PAPR helmet from Automotive Collision Repair and Refinishing, as well as a 2008 Chevy Aveo from Automotive Technology on the surplus equipment list to be disposed of according to the school committee surplus equipment policy using the appropriate method available.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and second to dispose of the surplus equipment as presented. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 4E, the FY23 budget transfers.
Through the school chair, this item is informational only and does not require a vote. The business manager explains in the attached memo, the intra-function transfers are being made for approved level advances to classroom teachers. Per the school committee policy, this informational only and does not require a vote. And was an attached memo submitted for funds transferred within function code 2305 classroom teachers from account 52 level advances for a sum total of $52,509.
Okay, as this item doesn't need a vote, are there any questions? Okay, hearing none. The next item is item 4F, approval of the increase in practical nursing fees, ATI fee.
Through the chair, the superintendent, director, and the practical nursing director recommend the school committee vote to approve increasing the Bay Path Practical Nursing Academy ATI materials fee to $1,015 as of July 1st, 2023, and that the ATI materials fee continuously be subject to change with the current ATI rate as submitted.
So moved. Seconded.
So motion and acceptance for the approval of the increase in the nursing ATI fee. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item C, information and proposals. First item we have is the report from the superintendent director.
So through the school chair, I submitted a written report. I just want to highlight a few areas. From that report, on February 3rd, Cliff Cloutier, Tony Fulginiti, and I met with the town of Charlton, town administrator, the police, fire departments, as well as the town contractor, which is LB Communications, to review the current radio tower and upgrading the current public safety radio system to a P25 digital system. Currently, they have equipment that is located on our old radio tower. To upgrade that equipment, their contractor said they would not use that existing tower, so they're looking to place a new tower at no expense to the school on our property, which will significantly upgrade emergency radio communications in the town of Charlton. So it's ongoing. A proposed site or anything will be brought through the building subcommittee for approval on that. February 8th, we had the benefit of hosting Dale Kurtz, president of the West Point Society of New England. Captain Kurtz graduated from West Point and served in the United States Army from 73 to 78. He went on to receive his MBA from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. In 79, he had a long and successful career in the world of business, Verizon. Through the work of our school committee member, Bob Wilby, he came to the school and gave a great presentation to our junior students about the benefits of the United States Military Academy, West Point. It was well received, and there were a lot of people in attendance on that, so I want to thank Mr. Wilby for that. On February 11th, the Bay Path Leo Club hosted their first annual Leo Speech Contest in our lecture hall at 2 p.m. The competition included 3 speakers: Meredith Clark, a grade 11 animal science student from Southbridge; Alyssa Kutzko, a grade 11 programming and web dev student from Paxton; and Katerina Schiappa, a grade 11 marketing student from Charlton. All 3 students performed wonderfully, and the judges had a very difficult time. I think there was a double runoff on that to select a winner. The winner was Katerina Schiappa, who moved on to the Lions Midwinter Conference. That was on Saturday, the 18th, at Southbridge Convention Center. I specifically want to thank our school committee members, Dave Grenier, Robert Tremblay, and Bob Wilby, for judging the speeches and for assisting with the coordination and scheduling. I want to thank the Lions Club, especially Emerson Wheeler and Jim Berthew, for all they do to support the wonderful competition annually. And lastly, and most importantly, I wish to thank our own Barbara Cody, Bay Path ELA instructor, for all that she does to support and organize and prepare our students for this amazing competition, as well as along with Kara Donovan, our ESL instructor, who Barbara and Kara started the first Bay Path Leo Club, which got its charter, and stay tuned for a charter date when they will officially grant the charter to our school. On the 17th, we filed our submission for a Safer Schools and Communities Initiative, which is a local equipment and technology supplemental grant opportunity. If we are selected, we will receive $50,000 for the provisioning of interoperational communications components to improve the building and outfit it with the latest safety security technology. So this is a technology grant we put in with the support of the Chief of Fire and Police for the town of Charlton. It will upgrade our visitor sign-in, which will give us greater logging capability of the visitors into the school, as well as checking who is approved visitors, not approved visitors. They'll upgrade some of our electronic buzzers to let students or people and visitors in and out. It'll put a visual beacon on the outside of the building should we be in a lockdown. Any students or faculty returning to the school from a job site or a meeting can see that and not approach the entrances, and know to stay away on that if emergency personnel haven't arrived yet. So several upgrades, we're hoping to get that. It will be at no cost if we receive that grant. And pump station update. As you know, over February break, the week of the 20th and 24th, they updated our booster station with the proposed plan of expansion tanks, one located at the pump station and one located in the building where the water supply comes in. It was coordinated that no students or people were in the building during that
everything was done in accordance with our, and I submitted a copy of that if anybody is really interested in pump stations. Recommendation from Weston and Sampson, and they agreed with the placement. They added that we should put in some air pressure check valves. Those are going to be installed at a later date because of lead times on those. Everything went smoothly, and we had last year a full operation with a fully functioning school, and we haven't had any water outages. And Tony continues to monitor it, and the pump pressure is remaining constant, so we're hopeful that that fix was it. And it should only get better once we install the air check valves on those as well. So that's an update on that. Part of the remarks as well. We're looking for information on shop placements. If I can remember my own password. So this is the 2022-23 grade 9 shop placements that occurred this year. Each one of our 23 career areas are noted on the left-hand column. And you can see first choice, second choice, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth choices. We start out, and if there's a wait list, you'll see the number of students on a wait list for each one of the 23 programs. And after the wait list, you'll see the available seats, number of students enrolled, and the last is if we have open seats on that. So if any of our students who got their third or fourth, we have openings and want to explore, or mini explore, or transfer shops, we allow that. And if we take any students off the wait list next year to start as sophomores, we know what programs we have openings in, such as, well, you can see up there on it. But 79% of our students got their first choice, 8% got their second, and 5%. So we want all our students to get their first choice. We know that's not feasible, so we want that first choice to be the highest. And we've been hanging in the 80s for first choice, or near 80s. For first, second, and third choice.
Any questions or comments on either any of the items in the report, or?
We have more too.
Oh, we have more. Well, before we move on, are there any questions on what's on the screen as far as the placements?
Yeah, if I could get I'd like to get a copy of that, only because it's difficult to see. For me, it's difficult to see from here. And I'm seeing, culinary arts, is that 25 on the waiting list? 26. On the waiting list?
26.
Oh. That's interesting.
Big. Yeah.
Are those waitlisted shops, are those like in line with prior years, do you know offhand? Are those the heavy hitters typically?
No, it's,
This year is a little bit different than prior years. If you go down the list, when you look at culinary arts, it was 26, they're usually not that high at all.
Yeah.
They're usually within the range of, if they have a waiting list, it's usually within the 2 or 3 students. Same thing now with like with plumbing, if you notice there's 15 students there, and metal fab with 10. Those are usually kind of high. Big change, if you look at programming and web development. Normally, they used to be in the area of being full all the time, and this is like a total, since COVID, the numbers of people sitting in front of the computer, they don't seem to be as positive going down there. It's a big change. And the same thing with cosmetology. They normally have the least amount of kids going through exploratory, because of the reason for asking for it. But they always end up with 20 of first choices, and they usually have maybe 1 or 2 on a waiting list of that. You notice they only have 10 students on the first choice. So talking about a different year, it was a different year for the way some of the students did land, where, you know, what they were asking for and what they were going for. We usually don't see the high numbers of the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and even we had a 9th this year, which normally doesn't normally occur. Usually numbers are, we're used to seeing in past years the first choice being around in the 85th percentile. And then getting it, the second choice is usually up there pretty well too. We're into the 90s by the second choice, like 92%, 93%. So it was a very good year. There is, if you look at the column where it says 31 open seats, you'll find that in the normal way of scheduling with 9 exploratories, it's hard to be up to the number of students that can actually go to every spot with having the 9 cycles. People ask to cut down to 9 cycles, they want less. The problem with that is that all the kids won't fit in there. When the kids put in their first choice, when I went scheduled, it came out that every student received their top 4 choices, every one of them. So then everything else was trickled after that. So they received the top 4 choices to be able to explore that within one of the 9 cycles. So that's how it works out.
At what point is an assessment made? If I look at, I'll just pull one, I see a couple up there, but one that kind of stands out is building and property. There was no first choice in that, and there's only 5 seated. At what point do we evaluate the shop and see if there's a long-term need there?
That was another one that was unusual. They're usually probably in the 3 category, received the 3 top choices, and then received other kids, and they didn't receive any this time here. But you're looking at, after a couple of years, if numbers are down, usually administration gets together and start looking at, you know, is there an issue? Do we need to update the career area? Or do we have to do something with the program itself? But that's something that we look at. You know, it's a lot of it's a roller coaster when it comes down to the numbers and how they flow through. You have 300 brand new kids, so 325 brand new kids coming in with all different ideas, and every year is another 300 some odd kids coming in. You don't know where their interest lands. You know what their interest is.
It would be nice to see that over a period of time, just to see the trends. You know, plot it over a 5-year period. Take that data and plot it, just so for planning in the future, it would be a good tool.
Any other questions or comments on the shop selection replacement? Thank you. And you can share hard copies too, or
Yeah.
emails.
Yeah,
or
so,
whatever.
okay. Yep. We'll see what we can do for this as well. Principal search update, the job was posted on February 17th and closes on March 17th, 30 days. Currently have 6 applicants who applied to it. We sent it out to MAVA, which they sent it out to the Leadership 1 and 2 academies, as well as did an email blast on it. And the nice note of it is that Mr. Clear is receiving several accolades for his years of dedicated service on that as well. As we get closer to the date, we'll convene a committee to look through those and pour through the candidates that applied and make the recommendation for a second round interview. committee has not been selected to see who applies, because we have several people with the qualifications for principal in the building. So names have not been selected for the committee until we get closer, because we couldn't have someone on the committee who applied for it and be privy to that information. So as we get closer and the committee is compiled, we'll share that information for the principal. I want to highlight several scholars. Tomorrow, the principal and myself will be attending the Worcester County Superintendent's Association Scholars Luncheon, where we get to recognize two of our scholars. We'll be recognizing Evan Gallinou, a Webster grade 12 student from Advanced Manufacturing. He's number 5 in his class. Evan plans on pursuing he's currently doing co-op, so he's thinking about staying on or getting a job that will help fund his education for higher education, staying in the field. He's currently looking at Quinsigamond for 2 and perhaps WPI or one of our state schools. No matter where Evan decides to go, he's going to do extremely well. He's number 5 in his class, and I think he's applied for just about every scholarship that's available to him on that. So Evan will be recognized along with Mackenzie Morrissey, a Southbridge resident, grade 12 cosmetology student who is currently number 4 in her class. And she is dead set. She knows her future. She's got her cosmetology state license, and she's going into the world of work where she's currently co-oping, and she's got a bright future ahead of her. And she, as well, has been applying to any scholarships that will provide tools for the trades on that. So that's tomorrow. On April 13th, the MAVA Mass CTE Most Outstanding Vocational Student Award, we will be recognizing Georgios Pirkas. Did I say that right?
That's better than I said.
Giorgio is from Auburn. He's a grade 12 automotive student. He was also a member of our state vocational champion football team. Georgios is in automotive, but he knows 100% that he wants to go into the world of diesel technology. He's currently working at Advantage Truck in Shrewsbury. Advantage Truck, if you don't know it, is a top 10 freight line dealer in the nation. It's a wonderful opportunity. They're happy to have him on it. As part of that, he volunteers in their Drive for Hunger, where they distribute food around the holidays for the hungry. What else can I add about him? Oh, skills. On his own, he took it upon himself to sign up for the diesel technology, even though he's automotive, and we hope that he'll be competing nationally in that field. So Julius is a wonderful representation for the Most Outstanding Vocational Student from BayPath this year. And Saturday, Jim went to the Mass Plumbers Outstanding Student
All-star.
All-Star. And that student was Damian Zafarowitz, also from Auburn, a plumbing student, and he was recognized in Marlboro as our all-star student for plumbing. He attended, Mr. Tripp attended, Paul Dowse attended, and Damian's mom attended the award ceremony on that. So a lot of celebrations. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that our own Don Erickson is being recognized at the Mass CTE conference and award ceremony on April 1st. April Fool's. And that's not a joke.
50 years into an organization.
Congratulations, Don.
And they expect another 50.
Something to strive for.
And Anna Hillner?
Anna Hillner is our practical nursing student who is selected from Mass CTE as the post-secondary student of the year.
We had told this morning our cheerleading squad won the vocational cheerleading region yesterday, and I was just notified about that. So that's something that's brand new. We get the right title and everything.
Get a write-up on that.
A lot of accolades. I think all of those collectively deserve another round of applause.
Advanced Manufacturing, Tony Fulginity. I've been communicating with Kevin Seaman from Seaman Engineering, and we're awaiting availability for a site visit to install the air handling unit to add air conditioning in that shop to alleviate the humidity issue down there. Dental assisting, we're awaiting the arrival of the curtains in the next few weeks. Part of the framing arrived on March 1st, and we have I shared out, I think I put it in the remarks, the letter from Greg Joint of Kesley Blues Architect on their recommendation, and their recommendations on the other two sites, Metal Fab and Advanced Manufacturing. So I would encourage you to read that if you haven't, and feel free to ask any questions. That's it for me.
All right, any questions or comments on any of the updates from the superintendent? All right, seeing none. And then I always like to call these out because I think it's good for the public to know what the school is doing as far as in the town work. So there's 4 on the list that I see recently. Charlton Middle School, Culinary Arts served a luncheon. And then Jacko Foundation in Charlton, the graphics communications shop printed tickets. And then for the Charlton Dudley School District, there was 140 mini pastries made by Culinary Arts. And then Second Chance Animal Shelter, there was embroidery done by the graphics communications department. So good work there from the shops. The next item on the agenda is the House building policy. I guess based on our conversation in the policy subcommittee, my suggestion would be that we follow up on this after executive session, unless anyone has any comments at this point. On to subcommittee, onto subcommittee reports. Audit subcommittee.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Budget subcommittee, we got something there.
Yeah, we did. We had a successful subcommittee meeting preceding the public hearing. And we have voted on a revised budget, subject to our funding from the state.
Okay, thank you. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Wilby is not here, but we heard tonight some updates about the communication tower, the expansion booster tanks, and some of the updates in the shop improvements that we talked about. Anyone else from the building and ground that has anything to add on that one? Negotiations subcommittee, Mr. Erickson, or do you want to hold that until later? It's up to you.
Well, we had a meeting that was postponed, and I believe it's going to be the 9th. Is that still on, Kyle?
I'm sorry, say.
The next meeting for negotiations?
It'll be
At the
Thursday,
9th?
this Thursday,
Thursday.
at 3:30 Zoom.
Okay. That's where we are.
Okay. Thank you. Next subcommittee is the policy subcommittee. Mr. Shaw?
We had met earlier, and there's still the question on the table as to allow and add a side letter of agreement to the current KPAP teachers' contract, which will expire June 30th. So that's where we are currently.
Okay. All right, thank you. Next
No,
item.
that's on the housing. just
Right,
the-
correct, yeah. Next item is a warrant subcommittee. As mentioned earlier, the warrants, hopefully everyone's had the chance to sign the warrants. If not, they are right there. Future business, our next regular school committee meeting will be held at 7 p.m. right here, April 3rd. As always, if there's any suggestions or requests for the agenda, you can contact myself, Superintendent Sue. Do you have any other comments, or was that it?
That's it.
Okay. Comments from the committee?
All set, thank you.
All set, thank you.
Oh, this is
set.
quick. Done.
Also,
I'm not gonna break the stream.
Yeah.
All set?
All set.
Cool. Come on, George, I expected something from you, no? Okay.
I'll save it.
If I may, with due respect, having read the minutes of the meetings for the last, in respect to that American flag, I'd like to offer my opinion and facts as a veteran who respects the flag. The gold fringe on that flag was accepted by the United States Army in the 1800s. In 1830, all regiments of the Army used the flag with the gold fringe. And it's included in a section of the Army Code. The other participations of parades, it's mainly used indoors, but on parades, it's used by organizations, Elks, Lions, Girls, Boy Scouts, police, all branches of the military, and it's all been saluted and honored. And again, the Army is the one that brought the gold fringe to the American flag. President Eisenhower also accepted the gold fringe flag of an Army honor. It is presented in the courtrooms, churches, schools, and other public places. There have been many lawsuits about it being representative of martial law, but all of those have been shot down. Military veterans respect and salute the gold fringe flag as it also being an American flag of honor. My opinion is to agree with it being presented in the Bay Path School with the full honor as our American flag. And as it's stated in the minutes, a request was made to buy another replacement flag, of which I, as a veteran, totally disagree with. And these are the facts that are presented, and I repeated them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bill. Jim, you weren't here, but we can come back to you if you had, we're doing roundtable. Did you-
A while back, we appointed school council to resolve the grievance we had with the teacher. Has anything developed on that? Or I missed last meeting, I apologize, but is anything?
It was 7.
It was, okay, good.
Peter?
One comment, congratulations, Don. Good job, well done. That's it.
I just want to extend my congratulations to the basketball teams, Reno and boys, the girls, along with their 4 coaches. They each qualified for the postseason tournament, which is a nice achievement, and it's good for Bay Path. And I don't think they did well in it, but they qualified, which is a big step.
Thanks, sir.
Congratulations, Don. Well deserved.
thank you.
And I also would like to thank everybody for the sandwiches again this evening for our meeting. I think that's a wonderful.
What will happen to the ones that are left over?
Al's gonna get them when we're at the end.
But does it have to be thrown away?
No, custodians. Yeah,
Okay,
take care of it.
that's good. I hope they eat them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sandwiches there.
I get a couple of minutes.
Okay, thanks. I'd just like to thank everyone who put all the efforts into the budget presentation. As Mr. Scobie mentioned earlier, I think it was very comprehensive, detailed. So thank you to everyone, especially in the quick turnaround, because the governor's budget came out late this year, so the fast turnaround, I'm sure, created a lot of extra work. And of course, congratulations. The list is long, so I'm not even going to try to go through it all, but congratulations to everyone that was noted tonight for all their various achievements, including Mr. Erickson. All right, so we have, next up on the agenda, we have contract negotiations. But as we talked about at the end of the policy subcommittee, normally when we make this motion, at the end of it, it's stated that at the conclusion of the executive session, we're only reconvening to announce what was discussed and to close the regular meeting. But I think what we decided to do is to basically recess the regular meeting, or not recess, but to reconvene into regular session after the executive session, so we can take up the topic of the House bill. So with that said, is there a motion to go into executive session?
No motion.
Mike here and somebody there.
Who was the second? Don was the second.
Mike and Don.
All right, and that motion again was to go into executive session and at the conclusion to return into regular session. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Veland?
Yep.
Mr. Caldwell?
Yes?
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Ms. Gauscher?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mr. Lamonti?
Yep.
Ms. Lenti?
Yes.
Mr. Montville?
Yes.
Ms. Pantos?
Yes.
Mr. Pulaski?
Yes.
Mr. Reich?
Yes.
Mr. Peter Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Timothy Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Scobie?
Yes.
Mr. Taveri?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
And that's it.
We have a motion on the table from Mr. Reich. We had a second. We had discussion. You want to repeat the?
Yeah, please repeat the motion, because there weren't people here.
Motion to have the house building project to stay the same as we have had in the past. Simple as that. No
Or
change.
concurrent, or what is currently,
Pardon?
what is currently in the policy? Is that what you want? Well,
Just simply say leave it in the past, yeah.
all right,
But for the past 50 years.
all right, George?
For the chair, I would just suggest, and I appreciate Mr. Reich's motion, but I would suggest adding that language that we put it in the contract so that we do satisfy for this year the requirements of state ethics
Yeah, I
according
agree.
to that letter.
That's a good point, yeah.
Friendly amendment.
So we have motion and second. Any other
So
discussion?
we need to have the way the motion's written, so it can be,
Yeah.
Correct.
I need to
So-
know what you want to write,
Right.
and I need to know, so no vote was taken and this was tabled originally. Are we going, can you go back into that motion, or?
It's on the table. It was tabled
Technically,
for-
you have to take a motion to take it off the table.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Or you gotta do an amendment or something. You can't
Or
just.
Mr. Reich can withdraw his motion.
It's withdrawn, stated.
Yeah.
And since we're still under discussion through the chair, Mr. Lamont had suggested the district writing a letter to ethics. Do we still want to consider that
No,
as
but-
part of the?
Who on this committee is an attorney? You just can't write a letter to a lawyer in Boston. He's gonna rip it apart, and he's gonna rip us apart.
Well,
If we can't have a lawyer do it.
Through the
we
chair,
shouldn't
Al,
do
we
it.
have the one from the prospective homeowner. I'm fine with that. I've been fine with that since the beginning.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But we shouldn't be doing that.
All right, motion's made and second.
All right,
What is the motion? That was what the last question was
Correct.
too, Ed, is what was the motion
Am I taking
exactly?
the other one off first, or?
Yeah, I'll have to remove it and redo it.
Well, I would motion to take it off the table for discussion and
Okay,
vote.
okay, wait.
Maybe Al should just withdraw his
Withdraw.
motion and then do a new one.
Is that acceptable, Al? Withdraw your previous motion,
And
we'll
then-
get another one back on the table.
And then
Good,
say it's,
but I withdraw the
it's too
motion.
confusing
Anything to
otherwise.
get going.
All right, now I think,
Okay, so we have a
Now-
motion. Could you,
So the motion, what Al said,
yeah,
the motion is made that the house building project remain stay the same as it has been in the past.
okay.
But that was rescinded.
Yeah, so that's not withdrawn.
Right, but that's what he's asking me to read.
So someone needs to
That's
form a
all I have.
motion.
Right, so Al, do your motion again, just like you did it before. Just,
We'll add something to it.
just like you did it before.
Motion to have the house building project to stay the same as we have had in the past.
Now you need a second.
Okay, we need a second.
Second.
No, you're not on the second.
Second.
Are we adding to it or?
So were you adding to it, the rest of what you wanted to say?
That's what I thought the whole purpose of withdrawing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it should have been whatever Al wants to say.
And whatever,
What
every,
George was just
Someone
saying.
write it down so it gets read correctly, because it's going to be tomorrow pretty soon. We'll have to
Well,
start a new
right.
meeting, it ain't posted.
made a
As we
motion to
have
have the
had in the
house
past,
building
just put a
project stay the
comma
same
in
as
there
we
where
have
you
in the
wanted
past.
to
What
add.
else is going in there?
You don't have to change the motion.
So Sue has recorded and read what Al said. Is there something else that someone wants to add to that?
And if they do, all they have to do is move to amend
Correct.
and add it to it.
Well, that's
So
what I
if you
said.
wanna add something to it, say I move to amend to Mr.
Or just put a comma in there.
Oh,
Well, I don't have a
Yeah.
second on that yet, that's what I
Oh,
was
great.
starting to.
So we got a
I don't have a
motion and a
second.
second.
Who seconded it? She doesn't do the oh, okay.
John seconded. Discussion?
Tim, you straighten it out, will you?
Only that I would like to amend Al's motion to state that we open up or ask the BPTA to open up the contract to form a side letter to satisfy state ethics suggestions or requirements.
Okay, now you need a second for that.
I'll second that one.
John, you're seconding it?
Now you need to vote on that amendment.
Okay. And also the motion.
After the
As
amendment.
As
amended.
amended.
Amendment
Just
first.
amendment.
You have to do the amendment first.
Okay. Do I hear approval of the amendment?
Make a motion to amend it.
Motion made?
Well, you gotta.
Seconded.
No, it's,
Wait, wait, wait,
it's
wait.
already
Vote on
done,
the
you just have to
amendment.
call for a vote now.
Just
It's
have
a
to
call for a vote on the amendment.
That's all you have to call for a vote on right now.
That's it.
Okay.
Call for a
All in
vote.
favor?
There you
Aye.
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 No.
No?
No.
go. Okay.
Oh, okay, so,
So what is the
amendment
new
passes.
motion?
wait a minute, wait.
As
So-
amended.
As
As
amended.
amended.
So now the motion on the table
Now,
is
made motion that was originally made.
as
We had a
amended.
first and a second. I need a vote. All in favor?
We're all
It's the
set.
motion, the
No,
original motion
Still
as
have to vote
amended.
on the original motion.
Yeah.
Correct.
The original
As it was
motion.
amended.
As amended.
Yeah,
As amended.
So you want them both together now?
yeah.
Point of order, is this just
Yes.
voting
Subcommittee.
for policy?
Just policy subcommittee.
Yes.
So you're
Thank you.
doing the motion to have the house building project. Stay as it, stay the same as we have in the past,
My wife wants me to say
and ask the BPTA to open,
You gave on this woman that put,
to open,
Contracts for a
oh,
side
contract,
agreement.
to add the side letter to satisfy the state ethics, correct?
plus,
Correct.
at the last meeting, she left early. Her son was in a bad automobile accident.
So just for clarity, could I, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want,
No, go ahead.
I'm in the wrong
So
seat.
that,
If you could read back what you have, Sue, so everyone's clear on what we're voting on, or what the policy subcommittee is voting on.
Motion's made to have the house building project stay the same as we have in the past and ask the BPTA to open their contract to add a side letter of agreement to satisfy the state ethics.
oh, good. Now, we had a second on that, correct? By John? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
That was really already done.
Okay,
Through
so
the chair, I'd like to make another motion.
for the policy subcommittee?
Yes. I make a motion that upon acceptance from the BPTA to open the contract and upon the signing of that side
Slow
letter.
down.
I can move too fast.
Yeah, say that again. Upon the acceptance from the BPTA and what?
And the signing of that side letter,
Yeah.
that the house for next year be awarded to last year's,
Is that a policy item or is that a full school committee item?
That's up to the school.
I think that's a school
It's not
committee
up to the
item.
subcommittee.
So can you hold that when we get?
Yeah, that's the house building project
Yeah.
approval.
But I don't know that we can, in full committee, I don't think we can act on that because it's not on the agenda. So we can add that as an agenda item for March, but I don't, for April, but I don't think we can take action on it tonight because it wasn't part of the agenda.
That's right.
Is the policy subcommittee work complete?
Yeah, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
There can only be people on the policy subcommittee.
Only those on the subcommittee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
so everybody can't answer.
So
No.
policy subcommittee
He's
adjourned.
on the subcommittee,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
okay.
Dawn.
Dawn was second?
Yeah.
George, and Al.
That was first,
Yeah.
I was second.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So now, I'm assuming there's gonna be a motion made for the full school committee to correspond with
Did
the.
they vote on that? Yeah.
What's that?
It was a motion to adjourn in a second.
Yes.
That was the policy.
And you voted unanimous?
No.
No.
That's all.
Well, you didn't have to get out.
Said
yes.
no. No, the adjournment.
To get out.
Is you get out, yeah.
Adjourn the committee,
Oh,
yes.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
May wanna call for a vote, just to
I
be
did.
sure. All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now back to full school committee. I'm assuming someone's gonna wanna make a motion, along the same lines of what was just acted on in policy
You can't
subcommittee.
act on that tonight.
We have an agenda item for the House bill, for the policy portion of the House bill.
Where?
It was an update.
It was an update, not
Okay.
an agenda item.
Fair enough, fair enough. Thank you. Keep me straight, keep me honest. All right, so definitely two items for the April agenda is to take, to consider the policy subcommittee's vote on the House bill, and two, to act on awarding the House bill.
So the most important part of the night, I think we have, is motion to adjourn the regular committee meeting.
Was that a motion?
Yes, it was.
Is there a second?
Anyone holding?
Seconded,
All those in favor? I'm not gonna ask if there's any opposition. So no, they have to adjourn.